Well, this is what happens to his fatwa? I don't even know. I don't think it was Khamenei that had the fatwa. Why the was he at his residence? I don't know, man, because he's 86 years old and obviously was looking forward to it. I don't know. Bahrain is arresting people who are celebrating the Iranian strikes. Cybercrime, taking legal action against a group of individuals who expressed in a circulating video clip their support for the hostile acts to watch the Kingdom of Bahrain. Senator Tim Kaine of the membrane, Tim Kaine of the brain, the anti-interventionist Tim Kaine went on Jake Tapper. I guess I must have missed that one singular moment where there was an anti-interventionist on the broadcast. Spinzio, thank you for the 5 gifted. What is this? Okay, dude.
President Trump has advocated all kinds of reasons for this unnecessary war with Iran. It's because of their nuclear program. Wait a minute, 6 months ago, he said he'd obliterated the program. Years ago, he tore up a diplomatic deal that was controlling Iran's nuclear program. He suggested last night the war was justified because Iran interfered in the 2020 election that he refuses to concede that he lost. It's to protect protesters. Wait a minute, President Trump is sending Iranian refugees back into Iran to face persecution. If he cared about Iranian citizens being oppressed by their government, he wouldn't be doing that at the same time. This was a war without, I can say this, I'm on 2 committees that give me access to a lot of classified information. There was no imminent threat from Iran to the United States that we're sending our sons and daughters into yet another war in the Middle East, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it.
Have you seen the August 12th thing? Shapiro is giddy. Oh, God, of course he is.
Shabbat from Sabbath to the news of what is going on. And let's just say this. President Trump is the most courageous commander-in-chief in modern American history.
Wait, what does it mean he's returning from Sabbath? Isn't it still Sabbath? Where the fuck is he in the world that it's no longer Sabbath? It's sundown? No, it's not. Is sundown dummy? Bro, where is his sundown? Ben Shapiro lives in Los Angeles. Oh, he doesn't. It's EST. Oh, yeah, that's true. But he doesn't live in LA anymore. You're right. He's on the East Coast. My bad. My mistake. I forget. He's a LA boy. For those of you who don't know, I think he no longer lives in LA. He lives in like Tennessee, I think. I tried to check him. Sabbath is relative when you got to get your clicks? No. He's in Tennessee. That's why. You think Jews don't live in the East Coast? Your anti-Semitism is showing. True.
Obviously, I just came back from Shabbat, from Sabbath, to the news of what is going on. And let's just say this. President Trump is the most courageous commander-in-chief in modern American history. There is no question about this. What he just did is the bravest move by a president of the United States of my lifetime, bar none, without a doubt. Obviously,
that's all you need to know this is a terrible decision. You know what I mean? You're aligning with Ben Shapiro, okay? What more do you need to know? He's gagging on it, dude. Oh, my God. I love President Trump. He's the greatest president of all time. My commander-in-chief. I love him. He is Ben's commander-in-chief. He's Israel's commander-in-chief. Claire for New York, call your U.S. senators and reps. Demand they unequivocally oppose this war and do everything in their power to stop it immediately. The learned helplessness of Congress must end.
That the Trump administration and the Israeli government have launched an illegal assault on Iran. Unknown numbers of civilians, beginning what could be a long campaign to destabilize the region, to cause mass chaos and destruction. What we need right now are not lengthy statements. We don't need procedural nonsense. What we need is real action from our Congress members to stop this madness now. I need you to do 2 things today. 1, call your Congress member and make sure that they will vote to support the Powers Resolution, and they will be unequivocal in saying no to with Iran. 2, find ways to get out in the street to make your voice heard, to say we do not support a war with Iran.
So the plan is to relentlessly bomb Iran for like 2 weeks, and then what? What's the phase 2 that leads to thriving liberal democracy exactly? Because we've done the hell out of them and killed their leaders thing 3 times now. Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, we're 0 for 3. Like, I'm going to be real with you. Destabilize the hell out of Iran, then they just leave. Sounds like you just get mega ISIS. Yeah, well, and then sometimes you can get mega ISIS to run the country. Okay? That would objectively be the design here, for the record.
Person is in severe condition, 2 others in moderate condition, And dozens of others across Israel tonight have been lightly wounded by some of these Iranian ballistic missile attacks. But really, this is just the beginning of all of this. As I mentioned, we are now 19 hours into this latest conflict between the United States and Israel on one side and Iran on the other. And both the U.S. and Israel are vowing that they will continue to carry out these strikes for as long as necessary. Something that's going to go on for at least several days. And Iran has also vowed that its retaliation will bring this conflict to levels not seen during the 12-day war between Iran and Israel back in June. We are very much in a much more perilous moment right now in the Middle East, and we're only beginning really to see the consequences of that latest military action that is now unfolding. Sarah?
Yeah. It is, a long way away, and those ballistic missiles often Israel is able to thwart because of the Iron Dome and other apparatus that exists there. Clearly, some of those have gotten through, and now, as you have been reporting, there are casualties there in Israel. I do want to go now to CNN's Kristen Holmes, who is joining me now from the White House. There are so many questions, but the one that everyone is wondering now, because after they've seen this, and there are some people who are very shocked and surprised by this, but there was a huge military apparatus buildup by the United States in the region. So for others, it is not a surprise that this happened. It was just the timing of when it happened that may have taken them aback. What more is the president saying tonight about these strikes and his plans for the future?
Look, the plans for the future are still a huge question, Sarah. We've heard President Trump now in a series of short interviews as well as posting on Truth Social. In terms of a timeline, it still really remains unclear what the timeline is. We heard him say at one point he could pull out in 2 days, or this could take much longer. And he posted this on Truth Social.
Do you even say anything? How the fuck do you have so many viewers? You're so boring. Sorry. Here, let me do what my closest market competitor does instead. Yeah, based.
Actually taking the Abraham Accords.
Guys, the elite pedophilic cabal extracting natural resources from the global South nations is actually based. It's not actually going to help your wallets even a little bit, but you're a bunch of dumb cattle. And that forced projection alone, fantasize about another third world brown person dying as we expend tens of billions of dollars to destroy their lives and livelihood, and remind yourself of how powerful you are. Now, Patrick Bet David.
I'll tell you why, because since 1979, when these guys took over, Iran's been chaotic for people that live there. 81% of the people there do not want the IRGC. I left Iran July 15th of 89. June 3rd of 89, Khamenei died. Not killed, died. I was in school at Gulbenkian. We're in the streets. I'm trying to find my parents. It was absolutely insane. Eventually, we did. 6 weeks later, we escaped, went to Germany. Fast forward from 89 till today. Now, the Supreme Leader Khamenei being taken out. This isn't like taking out the president or general of the army or even the prime minister or even the Pope. You took out the number 2 to God in their religion. You took out the supreme leader. This is a statement to everybody. Brett Baer put out a post about the fact that they took out 40 of their leaders. Think about what that conversation looks like right now to say, listen, guys, you have a couple options. You can either work with us or you're next. Does anybody want his job? Does anybody want to be the supreme leader next? Because the target's on you. What do you guys want to do? So that conversation, I believe, is taking place right now. But the world just got safer today because of all the leaders
that were stupid, so he's the perfect guy for this moment.
The world's going to be a safer place.
How do the Iranian people feel about this?
Ecstatic, to say the least. They're dancing, they're parading, they're crying, they're emotional. You see the celebration amongst women. Women feel free that finally this cloud that they have over them, that they can't do anything and don't put this on and don't put that on. I mean, this is a massive, massive moment for them. They've been waiting for this for 47 years. And you have to realize for 47 years, we've had a lot of different presidents. We've had a lot of different Iranian leaders that have tried to make this happen. But the one thing that's very different is the president. President made this happen. The Iranian people, I wouldn't be surprised if moving forward in the Iranian community, a lot of the people that couldn't stand the president because they were liberals or, oh my God, he saw this, he saw that, watch how many Iranians who were Democrats could overnight become Republicans saying, I support this man here.
How do you think this changes the political dynamic here in the United States? You've kind of seen some wishy-washy comments from Kamala Harris, from Gavin Newsom. Yeah, Ayatollah's a bad guy, but this is an illegal war, and I don't support it.
It's wild seeing so many. Yeah, he's spiritually Israeli, as a diasporoid Iranian. It's so wild. Every single one of these guys, every single person you're seeing on screen talked about how Trump is the peace president, by the way.
Maybe marriage, maybe finances, maybe you lost a client, maybe you lost a business, and it's carrying all this burden on you, right? Think about everything that we're dealing with. So a few days after Supreme Court rules against the president, publicly everyone's talking about, you know, you got to give this money back. And then he goes to the State of the Union, calm, cool, collected, has a blast, calling them crazy, enjoying himself, celebrating with the, you know, the hockey team that just won, talks for an hour and 48 minutes. And while he's giving the speech, this is what we have to realize. He knows they're about to attack Iran, but no one knows it. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do for a leader. When a leader's carrying burden, you typically will feel something from them. You felt nothing. This is why Iran, the IRGC, was shell-shocked how it happened. It's not like they did it at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. 8:15, it's like in your face. We're going to do it when you're awake because we want you to know. We went inside. You had a mole. The same way many years ago, we've all seen the movie Donnie Brasco with Joe
I'm going to keep it $150. I'm not a fan of Lim, but there was a reason why it was such a resilient and domineering hegemonic force on the planet for the entire duration of the Cold War and certainly after. America is going to find out the hardest way possible what it looks like when they do this kind of fascist interventionism instead, this in-your-face interventionism, this vulgar imperialism, because when you don't even leave room for anyone in the middle powers or anyone in the periphery to even assume that American intervention is going to play some kind of liberalizing role in your country, when you don't even make that sale to other people, they're just biding their time until they, until they push back. That's what I think, because history is riddled with different forms of domination being toppled when it becomes an inevitability, when you have no way out but to fight, people will fight back. Okay? I think we have horse blinders on, and human life is finite, and we have only our lifespan to comprehend world events. Okay? We only have our own relatively short lifespans to comprehend how the world changes. And that's precisely the reason why it's impossible for us to figure this out. Okay? This can't go on. There's a reason. There is a reason why liberal intervention and the packaging of liberal interventions was much more effective. Going back to a devolved version of intervention, like you're a goddamn monarch. We've seen how that worked. Eventually, a strong enough force will respond to it. Look at Nazi Germany.
All clear who might step into that void.
I don't know what it looks like in a nuclear world. But was it effective for Iraq? No. I'm talking about it not as like liberal interventionism was good. That's why I said, you know what my broader perspective on this is. I'm just saying, as a vehicle to keep things stable, as a vehicle to package your intervention as like a positive thing, a positive force. America is the world police, and that's a good thing. Like, that cell was even conducted by neocons, and there's a reason for it. There is a reason for it. Now, obviously, it was very destabilizing. It was devastating. It led to so much death and destruction. But this vulgar imperialism, this barbarism, is going to meet a retaliation inevitably.
And however it plays out is obviously going to have certain repercussions here in the United States domestically. It's a midterm year. This is obviously a major foreign policy action that people are going to be talking about for quite some time. How does it shape the next few months going into November.
Well, it just shows you the unbelievable speed of the news cycle. The news cycles used to last a while. Just the other day, the Supreme Court struck down the president's tariffs, as your previous guest mentioned, and then after that, of course, we had that was going to dominate everything for a while.
Think?
And the excitement about that lasted about 3 days, and now we have this, which is bigger than
Chatter. This community is safe for you to participate in as a Jew, but if your name is Quant Raper, I don't know if you're going to have a good time in here. You know what I mean? That's like one of the most... Okay, just making sure. What the is Quant Raper, dude? That's a psychotic username. What the did Quants do to you? Okay, just making sure, he said.
To this midterm election, but a lot will depend, as we've been talking about here, Jesse, on how this situation on the ground in Iran goes. If it goes well, that will be a real feather in his cap, to be sure.
As a Jew, I've been held at gunpoint, forced to fork over money to the Piker Broadcasting Service for 11 months now. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Chinese satellite image over the airbase Ali Al Salem airbase in Kuwait with a black smoke. This community is against anti-Semitism, but it's also against Zionism. Did they really hit Dubai airport, or is that fake news? No, they did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they did. They hit Burj Khalifa too? No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that is correct. Have you seen rumors on X about Bibi being unalived? Yeah, right, dude. Yeah, right. Can you get the Chinese president on for his thoughts? Sure. Let me ask him real quick. What is this? I'm a diplomatic aide at the Sultanate of Oman. My job is logistics. Wait, what? What the is this? What the hell is this? Take a nap for 2 hours. Did I miss anything? No. Nothing new. Israel said that they're going to fight back. Israel said that they're going to do another barrage. U.S. and Israel are supposed to be attacking Iran together with the IDF. That's literally a minute ago from CBS. So I haven't seen anything, but I'm sure we'll start seeing shit. It's same propaganda, and the horn dogs will fall for it. Iranian women are the Latinas of the Middle East. It's time to say them. Oh, God, gross. Do you think Khamenei is dead? Do you think Kamehameha is dead? There's a very high likelihood. There's a very high likelihood that Ali Khamenei is dead. The images coming out of Iran are already unbearable. Reports of an elementary school struck by missiles, killing dozens of people, with scores more killed around the country. Fear and chaos in the streets as families run through smoke and search for safety. The United States and Israel have launched an illegal act of war while Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu speak openly on regime change. This is what the Prime Minister Mark Carney says he supports. He has issued a statement so brazenly belligerent that even conservatives like Jason Kenney are cheering it on. It's a shameful moment that buries all of Carney's high-minded rhetoric in Davos under the rubble. That's exactly right. These leaders justify this war as serving Iranian liberation, but the courageous movement in Iran has been fighting tyranny for nearly 5 decades and is still reeling from the worst massacre in the country's modern history. In January, will suffer a massive setback with those foreign bombs. We remember the disastrous outcomes of previous U.S.-led wars of regime change in the Middle East, including in Iraq. They led to hundreds of thousands of civilian deaths, sectarian conflict, and a world that is less safe, not more. The current attacks on Iran must stop now before the entire region is plunged into conflict, death, and destruction. My thoughts are with the people in Iran and around the world who are watching this unfold with heartbreak and uncertainty. Freedom will not come from military intervention by outside powers. It can only come from the Iranian people. War is not the way. Unc got cooked? Yeah, it's true. He did do that. He did do the classic, like, Trump is a peaceful dove shit. Why haven't you covered a real political analyst on the strikes?
Your fault. Okay. Can I just be honest with all you retards in my chat? There's literally no point to start a war with Iran, right? Also,
Bro said Iran. What? Is he fucking leveling up? He almost said Iran and he stopped himself and said Iran.
every president has to do it. Do you understand that we're not an ally with Israel? We're owned by Israel. Do you understand that? So it doesn't matter what president's in office. They're all going to do it. They have to. It's not up to them. Like, I don't know why people don't understand that. Like,
wait, what?
It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. Biden did it. So it doesn't matter.
Did he? Biden struck Iran? No American president has directly struck Iran. What is this? Asmongold is completely flip-flop on war with Iran. 2024, we're too interventionary. We get involved in other people's business. That's a waste of money. 2026, I'm so happy that this happened. We're bombing them again. This is just amazing.
We play too big of a role in other countries' military shit. Like, we're too interventionary. We get too involved into other people's business.
Dude, every Trump supporter is like this. He is such a perfect representation of Trump supporters. Like, he is so perfectly MAGA, like down to the way he looks, the way he carries himself, his overall disinterest in like reading and learning or even thinking deeply about any issue. Like, I already knew what his take was going to be before he even came out with it, because Trump did it already. You know what I mean?
It's a waste of our money. The people there probably fucking hate us. Like, where's really the upside here, right? Just stay out of it. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying like we should be totally isolationist, but I think that the level that we try to play nation building, especially in places like this, like, you know, like Libya, for example, back in the day, what the fuck? Or Iraq. No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's too much, man. Way too much. I am so happy this has happened. I am just dramatically, tremendously happy this has happened. I know that, you know, obviously I've talked about it for a long time, about how big of a problem Iran is and everything. I was a big supporter of us bombing them before, and now we're bombing them again, and this is just amazing. I think
that's just how every MAGA is. That's new Wow Mao video.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
There's something nefarious about waiting until the middle of the day, knowing your opponent hasn't had breakfast, to start shit. You know what I mean? So the United States has declared war on Iran officially, you know, coming to the aid of Israel, who struck first.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
There's a lot I could say about that, and there's a lot that's going to be said over the next few days, but what I want to talk about right now is how in this conflict between Iran, America, and Israel, one of the first places to be hit with missiles is the Gulf. Shit's getting a bit too close to home, quite literally, because I have family in the Middle East. All around places being hit. There are explosions over Riyadh. There are explosions in my old hometown of Bahrain. Explosions in the UAE. There's a lot I can say about that, but I'm gonna keep it nice for them. Explosions over Jordan, why not? F it. I called up my dad this morning after hearing about the news, just trying to make sure he's okay. He was surprisingly in good spirits. I told him, have you seen any explosions? He said no. How close are you to the American military base? I said. He said, pretty close. What are you doing? He said, I'm going out to get yogurt. That's the old man. But no, but seriously, my stepmom and her family have had to evacuate to safer areas. And, you know, I just can't believe I'm seeing Bahrain get hit with missiles.
I feel like we live in echo chambers. Just walked past an old guy talking to his son about Iranians cheering, being liberated. Yikes. Brother, there's hogs everywhere. It's called hog universality. There's hogs in Iran. There's hogs outside of Iran. There will always be hogs. The job here is to reduce the number of hogs. Is to convert them from away from being a hog, you know?
It's my old freaking hometown, dude.
To help them develop a deeper understanding. There will always be people who pick up on the propaganda, even if the fucking propaganda mouthpieces aren't trying that hard. And let me tell you, it's kind of crazy. They're not trying that hard at all.
Map of it. There's American military bases around here and down here. As you can see, Bahrain isn't a very big place at all. It's a tiny island right next to Iran. Just the prospect of putting a massive American naval base on a tiny nation right next to Iran is just ridiculous. How much money does it take to put your entire nation in peril like that, you know? I know what you're thinking. Wow, Mao, you are a fucking meme YouTuber who is like a piece of shit. Never takes anything fucking seriously. Why the fuck do you want to talk about this shit? Like, so what? Your family's there, whatever. It doesn't fucking mean you're an authority or anything on anything. And yeah, you're right. You can click off now. But what I do want to put out there is that no one's gonna fucking talk about the Gulf being bombarded. No one in the West gives a shit. How can you explode an entire region and it's just gonna be in the back of your mind? Guaranteed by next month, everyone's gonna be talking about, oh no, new Mr. Beast video, new Netflix show, maybe Trump tweeted something stupid again. They don't even know Bahrain fucking exists. And you know, if I can shine a little light on that, you know, little country, it would just do some good. I'm seeing a lot of leftists on Twitter, right? And this has got to be me complaining about my side right now. Talk about, oh, people in Bahrain are celebrating their Zionist regime being bombarded by the graceful Iranian military. And they attach a video, and it's a guy scared out of his fucking mind that an explosion is happening down his fucking road. Why are you talking about
Okay, there was definitely some people who were celebrating.
it like that, man? I feel like a lot of people on not just the right, but the left see
I thought it was confusing as well.
Arabs as like this noble savage who's like ready for bloodlust, whether it's good or bad. Where
Hasan getting
explosions are
called
nothing
out.
to them, you know.
Look, I was confused by it as well. It's not good to fucking be in the vicinity of bombing.
War is their constant state of mind, and this isn't gonna phase them.
There's also Arabs, Palestinians living under the Israeli occupation that were celebrating as well.
You can bomb the Middle East as much as you want. It's nothing to them. No, dude. People are so fucking terrified right now. And I don't appreciate you painting them like this. And on the right, no one gives a shit. I bet you a lot of people are gonna be like, yes, another way we can own the libs by bombing the fucking Gulf. Yeah. It's like, this is a horrible situation for everyone. I do agree there are people in Iran who are very happy for a regime change. I don't think they want it done by the United States, though. Because let's look at the track record. Is Iraq doing good right now? Is Libya doing good right now? Is Somalia doing good right now? What's going on in Venezuela, dude? We aren't even talking about that anymore. I get wanting a regime change, but why do you want it done by the United States? It is suicide. Dude, is Afghanistan doing all right? No! Just these tiny countries on the Gulf. Yeah, they're not perfect, right? But like, bombing them? Fucking come on, dude. Bahrain is a beautiful country, man. It just broke my heart seeing it get fucking bombed. Shit gets real when you see your hometown get hit by a missile. I'm tired of Arabs being the world's plaything, dude. I'm tired of Arabs being killed. Anyone else fatigued by Arabs being killed, bruh? I mean, yeah, Iran is targeting U.S. military bases, but they're also targeting civilians. A fucking civilian building has just been hit. We don't even know why. I bet we're not gonna find out. I just know people in the kafala system in the UAE or foreign workers from India and the Philippines are just
Yeah, that was the other thing. That's why in Qatar, the people that were filming when the intercepted missile was falling, and the people that were filming it were Pakistani. They were speaking in Urdu or Hindi. Like they were, those were foreign workers, as I told you.
They're screwed, stuck in a country being bombed. It's just gonna be a disaster. If what happened today is gonna keep going, the place is gonna become a nightmare. Just don't forget about the Gulf states. Don't forget about the people in the Gulf states who, as of today, have shed blood for a war they're not even a part of. Stay tuned for Race Guesser 3 with collaborations with Oki's Weird Stories and Ghost Gum.
Al Jazeera reporting Khamenei is confirmed dead. Yeah, the Iranian TV. Iran confirms Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes in Iran. Officially, Iranian news confirms the leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, was killed in U.S. Israeli attacks on Iran. Al Jazeera reports.
To Ali Khamenei's mind, he would love to be given such an end. As a
this is also true.
The Iranian television announced
this isn't even like remotely cope. I mean, bro, he was 86 years old. Okay.
Through, and his, I mean, there are people who view him in a positive way. There are people who view him in a very negative way. But at the end, you cannot go away from the idea that he was, to the Islamic Republic and the Islamic Revolution, he was a kind of a
bro. People literally thought he was making military decisions when he was alive. Okay, like as though he was sitting around and you know, hitting buttons, hitting the fucking, hitting the bomb Tel Aviv button over and over again in some fucking bunker.
Iranian state television. Just take us through what was said.
Well, the gist of the matter is that after hours following the announcement and reports coming from the United States and Israeli sources, and after the U.S. president saying
And I told
that
you,
the Iranians...
Israel is a demonic entity for sure, and so is America. But Israel, when it comes to high profile assassinations, they're right a lot more than they're wrong. Okay. They're very rarely wrong about a high-profile assassination. When they come out and when they come out and they say like, "Oh, this person is dead," it's usually true.
Speaking of the context, we know that earlier we yesterday heard reports of massive explosions being heard in Pastor neighborhood, an area in which the office of Supreme Leader and the office of Iranian President
is also
was
fucking
located.
insane.
Initial reports, initial statements coming from Tehran were
that this dude was straight up holed up in his compound. Like, look at what they hit it with. That's crazy. They straight up nuked that shit, dude. Yeah. Iran claimed he was still alive. Some in Iranian news was saying that he was still alive. Again, 86 years old. 86 years old. It is kind of funny seeing all the fucking pro IRGC accounts in Europe posting into the abyss over and over again. Like, no, I fucking heard he's alive. Actually,
leader. This is the
he told me personally.
Over the next few days, we are going to experience, but no doubt.
People don't know anything about Iran. I heard people saying the school bombing had to be fake because girls' education is illegal in Iran. Bro, women in Iran have better education than America, okay? What the fuck? Iranian women are pound for pound, per capita, better educated than American women are. That's not even like, and I'm not even saying that as a diss to like America's dog shit education quality. That is crazy. These motherfuckers think Iran is literally run by the Taliban, bro. Oh my God.
He's not going to be in the mood to negotiate with the Americans. He's going to be a lot more hardline, right?
Well, absolutely. Now, with the leader of the Islamic Republic and the Islamic Revolution killed by the Americans and the Israelis, the next leader is going to have to stand still and to be resilient when it comes to how to deal with the Americans. And this is one of the issues, that how the direction will be. Will it be a direction towards a revolutionary leader, a leader who is going to adhere more and more to the Islamic Republic and the Islamic...
What's also crazy about it is like half the time Americans, depending on what level of intervention they're accepting, will either say Iranians are barbarians that must be bombed, or they'll be like, Iranian people are beautiful, we must liberate them. They switch back and forth. They switch back and forth depending on how fucking stupid they are. Or depending on what level of intervention is necessitated, what level of propaganda. Okay? It's crazy.
His legacy actually is, we are now going to go to an obituary, which has been put together by Victoria Gatenby, taking a look back at his life.
Born into a clerical family, Ali Khamenei studied at the religious seminary in Qom under the most prominent Shia scholars of the day, including Ruhollah Khomeini, who would later be the leader of the Iranian Revolution. Influenced by Khomeini's revolutionary ideas, Khamenei actively participated in anti-monarchy protests starting from 1963. He became a leading figure in establishing a new Iran after the monarchy was deposed in 1979. When the Iran-Iraq war broke out in 1980, the young Islamic Republic was struggling to establish itself both domestically and internationally. In 1981, Khamenei, a fiery orator in support of Khomeini, won the presidency. Throughout the 8-year war with Iraq, he frequently visited the front lines, earning the loyalty of the Revolutionary Guards. Iran was internationally isolated and economically devastated when Ayatollah Khomeini died in 1989. Hashemi Rafsanjani, one of the Islamic Republic's founding fathers, urged the Assembly of Experts to appoint Khamenei as the new supreme leader.
I told Mr. Hashemi Rafsanjani that I would not accept this. I believe I do not deserve this position. Perhaps you and I know this. This would be symbolic leadership, not real leadership.
But his leadership has been anything but symbolic. In the early 1990s, Khamenei focused on reviving Iran's economy. Iran began to reclaim a broader regional role after American military intervention in Iraq in 1991 that significantly weakened Iran's archenemy, Iraq's President Saddam Hussein.
Is this the first time in recent history that, like, a state has just, like, directly and deliberately and openly assassinated through military action the head of another state instead of, like, deposing them or you know, doing a coup or something? Because, like, obviously Gaddafi and Saddam are two examples, but they weren't like a direct military strike. I don't think
Khamenei favored conservative presidents throughout his tenure, but he frequently found himself at odds with presidents in a power struggle.
Nasrallah was not a head of state.
Leadership faced its strongest challenge.
Nasrallah was the head of Hezbollah, which is a political party in Lebanon, but he wasn't the head of state.
The country faced socio-political tension and economic devastation as Western sanctions devastated its economy. Barack Obama's presidency raised hopes for improved ties. In 2015, Khamenei authorized then-President Hassan Rouhani to sign a nuclear deal with world powers, most notably the United States, under which Iran agreed to reduce its uranium enrichment in exchange for the lifting of Western sanctions. But the US withdrew from the agreement in 2018 under President Trump. Khamenei then directed officials to accelerate Iran's missile and nuclear programs. In 2020, the United States assassinated Qasem Soleimani, a staunch Khamenei supporter and commander of Iran's Quds forces, further deteriorating Iran's relations with the West. Amidst the economic crisis, discontent continued in Iran. In 2022, nationwide protests against Mahsa Amini's death in police custody after she was accused of violating the mandatory hijab laws were one of Khamenei's biggest challenges. After the Hamas-led attack on October 7, 2023, Israel targeted Iranian officials, including its embassy in Damascus, in April 2024. Iran responded by launching hundreds of drones into Israeli territory. In the following months, Israel assassinated Hamas's political bureau chief, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran and killed Hassan Nasrallah, the Secretary General of Hezbollah and Iran's most important ally in the region. Iran retaliated by firing nearly 200 ballistic missiles at Israel. A ceasefire was implemented after 12 days. Khamenei called for regional cooperation.
The policies adopted by our enemy are to sow the seeds of division and sedition, to drive a wedge among all the Muslims. They are the enemies of the Palestinians, Lebanese, Egyptians, Yemenis, Syrians, and Iraqis.
Tensions flared up again after protests broke out in Iran in December 2025, first against the plummeting currency, then anti-government protests spread across the country.
Saving the world, W.
President Trump
Okay,
said
brother.
he would attack Iran if it executed hundreds of protesters. Washington began a rapid and large-scale military build-up in the region, and Ayatollah Khamenei warned that any military conflict would not be contained within Iran's borders.
To anyone who seeks to attack, the Iranian nation will deliver a strong blow. Americans should also know that if they start a war this time, it will be a regional war.
Weeks of diplomatic effort to de-escalate followed, with Oman mediating 3 rounds of indirect talks between the US and Iran. Iran had proposed a deal authorized by Khamenei, but on the eve of further talks, Israel and the US attacked Iran. With the assassination of Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran now stands at a historic crossroads, facing a future without the man who had guided the nation through turbulent times for decades.
I've got Ali Hasham, our correspondent, who's reported extensively from Iran with us in the studio. I've got our Tehran correspondent, Tawhid Asadi, who's joining us live.
Yeah, it's true. Khamenei didn't die after a court trial for severe domestic repression, as many Iranians have wanted. He died by bombs from Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, which is what the nearly 90-year-old man who spent decades fighting America and Israel by many accounts wanted. Like, straight up. 86-year-old guy was in the fucking front lines, and they gave him a fucking martyr's death. 40 days of public mourning announced in Iran after Khamenei's death, according to state media. Is that real? It doesn't matter whether Khamenei is dead or not. What matters is how insane it is to live in an era where one country can assassinate the heads of other states with total international impunity. The fact that this president is now fully normalized is fucking nuts. I've seen the videos of people celebrating in Tehran. Not my place to tell them whether to celebrate or not, but I think this raises a significant question. What happens if someday the leaders of a democratic post-IR Iran fall out of favor with Israel or the U.S., as the Shah did? Why hasn't there been any proof presented? Brother, what are you talking about? Even the Iranian state recognized it. It's just like, people will never learn. They will never learn, okay? Those who toppled the statues of Saddam, those who toppled the statues of Saddam themselves said many years later, what the fuck? This has been a disaster, okay? What do you think happens if the Iranian state falls? I've spent the last couple of months trying to spell out what kind of disaster will befall Iran. Iranian people deserve sovereignty. They deserve dignity. They deserve to have whatever government they want to. American bombs will not allow the Iranian population, American bombs directed by Israel, will not allow the Iranian population to get this liberal, secular democracy that they wish for.
Still out there, and that's going to be highly effective when it comes to the trajectory of Iran's behavior for the years down the road.
Now, Ali, you heard Tawhid there. He's talking about, the legacy, what the Supreme Leader is going to leave behind. He's going to leave behind a symbol. Now, we were talking about this very briefly just earlier. Has Donald Trump made him?
He's a despot, but something about a man who survived multiple imprisonments, tortured by Savak, went to the front lines to defend his country against Saddam's invasion, funded by the U.S., by the way, survived an assassination attempt that paralyzed him for life, and died being the lone force in the way of U.S.-Israeli hegemony in the region is admirable. Yeah, I mean, he was a real fucking... He was... I would say he was far more brutal to his own people than he was to his enemies, but, there was... Any amount of pushback towards his enemies in the region was still welcomed, let's be real. Especially considering that his enemies were far more ruthless than everyone else. Having said that, the notion that this will destabilize a country or it will collapse the state, whether you think it's good or bad, which I know is not good. It's bad, okay? Not a good thing at all. It is a very bad thing to destabilize Iran and chop it apart and balkanize it and reduce it to unlimited sectarian conflict. However, the notion that what is this? You are biased. You wish there will be chaos, but is not. USA brought freedom with bombs. You just envy. What? Yeah, they did. Now there is freedom and will be elections. What do you mean? You're joking, right? Sneeko cooking you? This has got to be like someone LARPing, like as a dumb guy, right? That's not cook, Sneeko cook, LARP. Okay. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that the idea that the Ayatollah and the decapitation strikes will collapse the nation state because it's like it has no contingency plans whatsoever is hyper reductionist. And it straight up does not understand that countries that exist in the periphery, especially ones that are sovereign nation states, have contingency plans. If that was pummeling Tel Aviv, they would not be striking all of these other Gulf nations that have American bases right now. Because we found out about the Ayatollah's death right now. Iran, for the last 12 hours of their fucking bombing campaign, have been completely aware of the Ayatollah's death. You know what I mean? They knew. They were still business as usual, operational. It's very strange when people look at the situation and go they have this Avengers ass take, Marvel Cinematic Universe ass take, where they think oh, bad guy died, it's over. Like, good guys win. That's not how this works. Who was the guest? I had Jeremy Scahill on in the morning and then Ro Khanna in the afternoon. Oh my God, how can people be this brainwashed, have some dignity, think, and criticize? How the Iranian media reported it. Let's see. The supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution was martyred at their workplace in the leader's residence. They were engaged in performing their assigned duties and present at their workplace, their office in the moment of martyrdom, and this cowardly attack occurred in the early hours of Sunday morning. Media outlets affiliated with the Zionist regime and regional reactionaries have repeatedly claimed that due to the fear of assassination, the leader of the revolution lives in a secure and hidden location. Their martyrdom at their workplace once again proved the unreality of these claims and the enemy's psychological warfare, and demonstrated that they always stood fearlessly and courageously against arrogance among the people and in the trench of responsibility. With his death, what happens to his fatwa? I don't even know. I don't think it was Khamenei that had the fatwa. Why the fuck was he at his residence? I don't know, man, because he's 86 years old and fucking obviously was looking forward to it. I don't know. Bahrain is arresting people who are celebrating the Iranian strikes. Cybercrime, taking legal action against a group of individuals who expressed in a circulating video clip their support for the hostile acts to watch the Kingdom of Bahrain, to which the Kingdom of Bahrain is being subjected. See, I told you there's fucking people who are celebrating in Bahrain. There's a Shia population. But in any case, America's collapse of like Saddam or even Iraq is very different. America's direct military intervention in Iraq was much more comprehensive. It wasn't just like a decapitation strike and then that's it. Iraq is not Iran. Iran has a much more sophisticated and much better trained military than Iraq ever did. Iran has designed its entire network of defense and its contingency plans against exactly what just took place today. Who knows what happens going forward? I can't make any predictions, right? But I'm just simply telling you that if you think that like, oh, the Ayatollah is dead and people are celebrating and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom, regime is done, welcome liberal democracy, that's not going to happen. What's sad is my Iranian friends think this escalation is good for them and Iran will be better now. Yes, just as the Iraqis did that were on the receiving end of the cruelty of Saddam, and they thought that this was good. I mean, there were people who participated in taking down the Saddam statue. And for years and years, Americans loved talking to Iraqis who were like, oh man, Americans are coming here. Welcome, welcome, peace, peace, peace. You guys are going to liberate us. You guys are going to liberate us. And then half of them went and joined fucking ISIS, bro. Like, the fuck? Well, not half of them. What do you think happens with violent military intervention? What do you think happens in a power vacuum? When I was 6 when the U.S. invaded, people were happy. They said we would be like Germany or Japan after World War II. But soon enough, they realized how stupid they were. Yeah, America don't do that no more. Okay? And if they didn't do that to Iraq, to design a bulwark against Iranian intervention in the region, they sure as shit are not doing it to Iran. You know what I mean? America doesn't do that kind of Marshall Plan style redevelopment project after destroying the country any longer. That's the old America. It's much more effective and much cheaper to just destroy the country and rip it apart and let everyone else in the region deal with it. Tens of millions of people displaced. Also, we don't know where this goes because America and Israel have said that they are going to continue blowing up Iran. And as I have said earlier today, it kind of feels like they will increase the dial of cruelty that they subject the regular Iranian population to and continue punishing them for, I guess, not destabilizing the country hard enough or fast enough. Because right now, the first wave of attacks was limited for American, intervention capabilities. Because if given the opportunity, America could have done a shock and awe style bombing campaign in Iran. They didn't do that. There's a reason why they didn't do that. I mean, they still blew up a school, mind you. They have to. They have to get their licks in. They have to fucking kill some children. They can't. Like, if it's America and Israel we're talking about, they have to kill school children. That's a given. But the reason why they kept the deaths to, 200 as opposed to 2,000 or 4,000 or 10,000 in the first round of bombing campaigns was because of what Donald Trump said shortly thereafter. He said, it's time for you to take matters in your own hands, go out in the fucking streets and take control over the government. If Obama did this, we would be playing Resident Evil. I think you might be a little confused. You've lost the plot. No, I'm telling you what the government of the United States of America and Israel are both saying. They're saying, go out to the fucking streets, take matters in your own hands, fuck the government up. It's your government now. Put your hand in the fucking, go out and pull all the money you can from the banks. Their money is your money. Okay? It's much cheaper to get the Iranians to do this rather than expend billions of dollars more in munitions with no real way to control wherever the popular resistance goes. I know Iran wasn't under the Soviet bloc, but do you think America would have been able to carry out the attack if Soviet Union still existed? Genuinely, it's crazy how a nation is able to blockade entire countries or kidnap and kill the heads of state without any repercussion. With Iran, yes. Iran is a unique country. Unique in the sense that they have cared about maintaining sovereignty more than anything else. They are famously anti getting any help whatsoever from other regional partners. At most, they've worked with Russia from time to time, and even then, it's like fairly limited. They're very stubborn. They're very proud. It's weird to talk about this like I'm approaching it with an Orientalist framework, but they quite limited for American intervention capabilities. Because if given the opportunity, America could have done a shock and awe style bombing campaign in Iran. They didn't do that. There's a reason why they didn't do that. I mean, they still blew up a school, mind you. They have to. They have to get their licks in. They have to fucking kill some children. They can't. Like, if it's America and Israel we're talking about, they have to kill school children. That's a given. But the reason why they kept the deaths to, 200 as opposed to 2,000 or 4,000 or 10,000 in the first round of bombing campaigns was because of what Donald Trump said shortly thereafter. He said, it's time for you to take matters in your own hands, go out in the fucking streets and take control over the government. If Obama did this, we would be playing Resident Evil. I think you might be a little confused. You've lost the plot. No, I'm telling you what the government of the United States of America and Israel are both saying. They're saying, go out to the fucking streets, take matters in your own hands, fuck the government up. It's your government now. Put your hand in the fucking, go out and pull all the money you can from the banks. Their money is your money. Okay? It's much cheaper to get the Iranians to do this rather than expend billions of dollars more in munitions with no real way to control wherever the popular resistance goes. I know Iran wasn't under the Soviet bloc, but do you think America would have been able to carry out the attack if Soviet Union still existed? Genuinely, it's crazy how a nation is able to blockade entire countries or kidnap and kill the heads of state without any repercussion. With Iran, yes. Iran is a unique country. Unique in the sense that they have cared about maintaining sovereignty more than anything else. They are famously anti getting any help whatsoever from other regional partners. At most, they've worked with Russia from time to time, and even then, it's like fairly limited. They're very stubborn. They're very proud. It's weird to talk about this like I'm approaching it with an Orientalist framework, but they quite live Soviet help. As a matter of fact, they slaughtered a lot of the Soviet-aligned Iranians that played a big role in the Iranian Revolution. Because if you were to bracket off like the different political formations in Iranian society historically, there was a fairly large contingency of communists, trade unionists, socialist Iranians, and And they played a major role in the popular revolution. They played a major role in the Iranian revolution alongside the clerics, the Islamists. And the Islamists basically put them in prison shortly thereafter. And then they completely eviscerated the remainder of that movement with the Iran-Iraq war, especially because some of the secular forces then aligned with Iraq. And that slaughtered the rest of that movement. There are still some, but it's much more, it's a much tinier movement in the country. So I will just say, as far as like Soviet intervention or Soviet aid in Iran, they've had plenty of opportunities to get Soviet aid, and they've chosen not to. So I don't know how different things would be with the USSR still being around. Iran is more socialist than Cuba, my boy. What? Iran famously played the USSR against the US during the Cold War before the revolution. Chat not to be insulting, but check out the Wikipedia page on Iran. Also, the Shah fancied himself a socialist. Okay. I don't see what options Iran has here in the long term. Israel's been resupplied and can withstand them for now. No. It depends. It depends on what the Iranian stockpiles look like. The office of the supreme leader in Iran says the assassination of Khamenei will mark a new chapter in the history of Shiism. The pure blood of the Sayyid will surge like a gushing spring and uproot American Zionist oppression and crimes. Considering that Iran has been able to strike Tel Aviv on the first day this time around, I'm not so certain that the Israeli government has the capacity to withstand a long bombing campaign. Well, what do I know? Do you think China will play more of a role? I mean, China is going to have a limited role that it plays with like its targeting systems and maybe some missiles potentially. What? No, Benjamin Netanyahu's not been injured, dude. What are you talking about? Nothing I've seen indicates that is real. Given the intensity of this bombing campaign in comparison to the 12-day war, all I will say is the 12-day war took a lot out of Israel's defenses, but it was nowhere near as successful as the first day of the bombing campaign this time around. It's much more ferocious, much higher frequency, much higher intensity, much higher success rate early on. It's just entirely dependent on what Israel's reaction looks like, how much success they have in targeting where the missile launchers are and being able to like successfully blow up the missile launchers. Israel's first salvo also was nowhere near as aggressive as the first salvo that they engaged in the 12-day war, where they basically took aerial superiority. They destroyed a lot of the anti-aircraft systems that Iran had, and then were just consistently flying over Iranian territory. And that allowed them to do more precise striking as well. So they didn't do that this time. They didn't have their, drone manufacturing hub in Tehran like last time around. That was a much more complex, much more sophisticated operation as opposed to what they did this time around, even though this time around there's a lot more American assets in the region to strike at Iran. So far, Israel hasn't done too much. That doesn't mean it won't. We'll see. Without a doubt, Khomeini sidelined leftists and liberals when he got into power, but what about the argument that MEK aided the Ba'athist Iraq and the Iran-Iraq war? The state ideology of Iraq was better for workers, but the invasion was totally unjustified. I'm sorry, reading the horrors in Iran-Iraq war sends shivers down my spine. World War I brutality with modern weaponry. Yeah, I understand. I'm not like a fucking MEK supporter or anything. Yeah, that's why I said the Iran-Iraq war completely calcified the death of the socialist movement, the left flank movement in Iran. That's why a lot of the Iranian anti-IRGC people are oftentimes just like liberals. And yet, martyring Khamenei has not paralyzed the IRA's military responses, which have been far more robust and more complex in the early part of the 12-day war. It's a trophy for Trump, who loves the trophies, but not affecting the IRA the way Nasrallah's death hit Hezbollah. Yeah, they also destroyed Hezbollah's striking capabilities. And also, Hezbollah is a paramilitary group built on top of a active party in a country that is not sovereign, that doesn't even have anti-aircraft defenses. Iran is a sovereign nation state that is their missile production capabilities, its missile launching capabilities against exactly what is happening currently. Clip from Al Jazeera going viral. Oh, I saw this one, yeah.
Where do you see this going? Is there an off-ramp for Iran?
I think what will happen is that even if the United States is able to kill illegally Iranian leaders, the next generation of Iranians, the Iranians that did not see American atrocities in Iran before 1979, some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American, those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. We are going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself.
Have things slowed down at all? Does it seem like Iran is keeping up with the same accelerated pace as earlier today? I don't know. I don't think they're like striking Tel Aviv as hard right now, but who knows? My parents, Shia, are saying Iraqis are going to have a coup d'etat because of this war. Yeah, there is a pretty significant Shia population in Iraq as well. Hasan, I'm scared. Will us Cubans be next? Will our leader be the third victim? I'm worried for us Cubans. I mean, I hope not. The U.S. Department of Defense Alert System has instructed personnel in NORTHCOM not to wear uniforms in public. Jesus.
In the area and simply lash out wherever it potentially could.
And
that, I think, has a region reeling now, and may also suggest how desperate perhaps what remains of the Iranian government indeed are. They fired an enormous volley here, essentially putting themselves...
I saw this one, yeah.
Where do you see this going? Is there an off-ramp for Iran?
I think what will happen is that even if the United States is able to kill illegally Iranian leaders, the next generation of Iranians, the Iranians that did not see American atrocities in Iran before 1979, some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American, those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. We are going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself.
Have things slowed down at all? Does it seem like Iran is keeping up with the same accelerated pace as earlier today? I don't know. I don't think they're like striking Tel Aviv as hard right now, but who knows? My parents, Shia, are saying Iraqis are going to have a coup d'etat because of this war. Yeah, there is a pretty significant Shia population in Iraq as well. Hasan, I'm scared. Will us Cubans be next? Will our leader be the third victim? I'm worried for us Cubans. I mean, I hope not. The U.S. Department of Defense Alert System has instructed personnel in NORTHCOM not to wear uniforms in public. Jesus.
In the area and simply lash out wherever it potentially could.
And
that, I think, has a region reeling now, and may also suggest how desperate perhaps what remains of the Iranian government indeed are. They fired an enormous volley here, essentially putting themselves to the wall in the region, and what comes next in the days ahead is essentially a test of what they have left, whether they have survive here, and quite how this fast-changing situation leaves who that leaves in charge in Iran, Sarah.
Yeah, what you're saying is absolutely true about the attacks on some of the other places in the Middle East, including the UAE, Bahrain. There will be no love lost from some of those governments and people after civilian areas were hit by Iran. Nick Payton-Walsh, thank you so much. We'll see how that all unfolds. We are just at the beginning of this. Perspective now from former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Beth Sanner. First to you, just what do you make of this move by Iran to hit all of these other places, not just those who are attacking Iran, which is the United States and Israel, but to go after Bahrain, to strike the UAE, to hit residential targets. What does that tell you about A, their capabilities, and B, their mentality right now?
So this was obviously an Iranian plan to hit all these Gulf states, even places that don't have U.S. bases. And I think that they are fundamentally misreading the Gulf, and they are fundamentally misreading us. So, their intention here was to get the Gulf states to, scream and say to the United States, please stop, please stop. We can't take this. This is bad. But instead, the opposite has happened. And the Gulf states instead are rallying around these actions and saying, yeah, we cannot live like this anymore.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're just like literally looking to cripple all of the American infrastructure in the bases.
Readings are actually benefiting us.
Yeah, the Saudis have always been at odds for a very long time with Iran, but it is significant that the UAE and others are now in a potential similar position because of the actions of Iran and its response. I do want to ask you about what the president has been saying. He talked about asking the Iranian people to rise up and talked about regime change. The president has said that these strikes are necessary because Iran posed an imminent threat to the U.S. We have spoken with sources who have told us that the intelligence doesn't really back that up. Put all of this into perspective for us.
Right. So, I mean, there are a couple issues here. Is one, what is the justification for this activity? And I think that, it's really difficult because I think everyone who knows anything about the Middle East knows that if President Trump could succeed on creating a stable and prosperous Middle East, the realization is now and has been quite clear that that is not possible.
This is CNN, bro.
Iran is in power. But to actually do this, you need some justification under international law, or at least that's how life used to be. It's questionable whether, the international law works that way now. But there is, as far as I know, really no good evidence that there was an imminent attack. And I think when one of the other guests mentioned that, there were reports that Iran was going to strike the Gulf states, I suspect there was a report that said that in the contingency of the United States.
I'll be honest, this is America. This is the American media behemoth in full swing. A lot of younger chatters are getting like a fraction of the taste of what it was like in 2003.
Pushing this narrative very subtly, but
it was even more aggressive because imagine if the administration wasn't the Trump administration, but instead was like a lot more competent and a lot more devious and also cared to like try to make it a justifiable act at all. But I guess people were also not as dumb as we are now, because it doesn't take much seemingly for the American cattle class to fucking turn around and be like, oh, I've heard her, this is good. This is good. I'm happy. This is so base, baby.
What would be happening at this hour?
But yeah,
the situation.
The way that the media has universally snapped into place, like this is it. This is what we do, baby. This is what the American media is here for. They just straight up snapped into action. CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox News, all in unison, looking at their audience's interests and specifically tailoring the message to whatever corresponds to their audience's interests. You're going to hear about how, not woke the Iranian government was from liberal media, and how they're going to wokeify this bombing campaign. You know what I mean? Also, one thing that I haven't noticed at all from mainstream news, and I don't know if you caught on to this, not a single piece of coverage about the children being killed. Not a single moment from CNN, from CBS, from ABC, from NBC. None of them have covered that the schools that were blown up by American bombs with Israeli hands or American hands, we don't even fucking know. Not one. Now ask yourself why. If you're a news outlet and you're not a biased propaganda organ, why wouldn't you cover that? I cover every aspect of every conflict. I look at what the Iranians are saying. I look at what the Iranian opposition is saying. I look at what the IRGC's organs of propaganda are saying. I look at American mainstream media, full spectrum coverage. And yet these people choose not to do that because what they omit is just as important as what they say. They barely even talk about the death toll from the first day of strike. The overwhelming amount of coverage is dedicated to how good this actually was. And if you're liberal, there's a little bit of condemnation. There is a little bit of condemnation. They'll give it a brief moment. They'll say, oh, yeah, well, you know, I guess Trump, the mad lad, did it, right? They'll say, I don't like the way he approached this. I don't like that he didn't follow process, but he deserved it, right? Why are you so upset? It was so successful, Law. Successful for who? Successful for whose purpose? Successful how? Define success. When you say this was successful, what do you mean? And I need you to be deliberate. I need you to use exactly how. I need you to use words to tell me exactly how this was a success. Okay? What is it's front page on AP, Reuters, New York Times, and most major publications? Do you want it in military strategy or do you want it in a diplomatic sense? I want it from your perspective. You as an American citizen, if you are even an American citizen. So a person from Iran that lived through that and is celebrating it being over is somehow a hog. So if Turkey's president was removed and you could go home to Turkey, you wouldn't be happy? Such a cuck boy. Brother, I don't know if you know this, but America did try to do this to Turkey. And I was very critical of it, and I still am critical of it to this fucking day. Hello? Yes, I would much rather have sovereignty for Turkey, as much as it can have, given that it's a NATO country anyway, and it's an imperialist lapdog, as opposed to an American fucking puppet. What the fuck are you talking about? Now, explain to me how this was a major success. Why would you ever be critical of dictators being removed? Because I'm not a fucking moron. Because I've lived through this already with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. I've lived through this with Saddam Hussein in Iraq. I've lived through this with the Taliban in Afghanistan. Because I have at least a little bit of working knowledge in American intervention in the fucking region that I grew up in. Because I wasn't in a fucking coma for the last 25 years. There has never been a point that there's never been a moment of success that you fair. I backed down from my stance. RGC announced that the most massive and powerful offensive operation in the history of the Islamic Republic of Iran's armed forces begin to set shortly against Israel and U.S. bases. I mean, Elint. They say that last time, too. They said that when the fucking Ayatollah was alive. You know what I mean? Like last time in the 12-Day War, they said that, too. And I don't know if this is posturing or if this is actually going to be real. Stick to rolling kebab, buddy. What kind of diss is that? We really need to do CIA history lessons more often for chatters. It's not even CIA history lessons. If you weren't a fucking potato for like even the last 10 years on the fucking tail end of American intervention and adventurism in the region, you would have enough information. I mean, look at fucking ISIS. You know what I mean? Like, Saddam Hussein was a monstrous tyrant who committed genocide against the Kurdish people and the Marsh Arabs, and it was still disastrous to invade and remove him. The quality of leadership has nothing to do with the justification for aggressive intervention. Yes. Yes. Especially because the intervention is never done to actually plant democracy. That's not a way that a large superpower operates. That's not how democracy works either. True. But they do have significant amounts of munitions left over. 1,000 missiles or drones. We shall see, just passing it along. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they say that all the time. We'll see. We'll see if it's real or not. It could be. They said that when the Ayatollah was alive, and now the Ayatollah is dead. So maybe things will change. Who knows? It's just crazy that people will be like it's crazy because they go, nah, Afghanistan is one thing. Iraq will be different. It wasn't different. Nah, Iraq is one thing. Libya will be different. It wasn't different. Nah, Syria is different. It's not different. So why the fuck do you say this time it'll be different when talking about Iran? It's clear that they're lying to you. You know, they're just fucking lying. And this time, the craziest part is this time they're not even lying that well. Because I remember the sophisticated media strategy of like trying to target each individual affinity group with specific messaging. Even when the Democrats were upset with Joe Biden potentially pulling out of Afghanistan, on the one side, you had the warmongers for the Republicans going, these are barbaric apes. We can't leave this fucking place at all. If we do, then they're going to come in, they're going to kill us for our free speech or whatever the fuck. And on the liberal side, the pro-interventionist side was angry at Biden and were saying, well, look at all the women that are getting educated in Afghanistan. They will no longer be able to go to school. Like there was a feminist case for maintaining American occupation in Afghanistan. Okay? Nowadays, they don't even do that. Trump just comes out and he's like, I don't know. I was bored. Ayatollah, whatever the fuck his name is. He called me gay. I said, you write poetry. You're dead now. And everyone's like making up their own minds at this point. Like the propaganda apparatus has gone on autopilot. Motherfuckers are making their own minds up about why this is a good thing. It's crazy. Trump will just be like, I'm bored of peace. Just like I said, bored of peace, more like I'm bored of peace. I'm doing it, baby. They literally came out and said the government, the Trump administration is ending wars, okay? Is ending fucking wars by ending the 47-year war. Last year, I said if Iran did not hit back and establish deterrence, it would only embolden the Zionists, and they would continue the war until they assassinate Khamenei. Iran has just now confirmed they have. This is the logical result of 3 years of strategic patience. It's true. The entire reason the Israeli and U.S. regimes did not dare attack and assassinate top Iranian leaders before and try to collapse the state and nation is exactly because they feared the response. After the assassination of Soleimani, which led to not a single American or Israeli being killed, not even a foot soldier, that fear was broken. It was decisively broken after October 7. They kept bombing Iranians in Syria, and there was no response except by hitting some empty buildings that was telegraphed in advance. After that, they decided, you know what? These red lines are bullshit. The Iranians have no red lines. We can do whatever we want to them. And they just do nothing. That's what strategic patience actually means. They do nothing. So they assassinated Nasrallah. And again, nothing happened. Some empty buildings got hit again. So they directly bombed Iran itself and assassinated their top military leadership along with 1,000 Iranians, including babies and children. And what did they do in response? They killed like 30 rando elderly. Okay, that part is insane. All right, I'm skipping that. Why would they not keep, like, you're talking about 30 elderly people that were killed. Jesus fucking Christ, squirrel. Holy shit. Oh, anyway. Why would they not keep going with that exchange ratio? Wait, we killed your entire military leadership in Nasrallah and you hit some empty buildings and got some rando rape settlers. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, the fucking screed might be insane, but the truth of it is in the heart of the message, which is strategic patience and Iranian restraint has always been met with a violation of red lines. There was a red line that Iran had established with its axis of resistance deterrence mechanism, from Hezbollah to the Houthis in Yemen to the numerous groups that exist. Like the IRGC was in operation in both Syria and Iraq. And basically, the reason for why that resistance network existed was so that if the Palestinians were struck in the ways that Israel did, if the Gaza Strip was invaded, then they would all come down on Israel. They would make it virtually impossible. They would punish Israel for killing the Palestinians. And they didn't do that. Hezbollah did to a certain degree, but they did not do that. Now, did they refuse to hit Israel? Did Iran refuse to hit Israel in that process because they were selfish? Or did they refuse to hit Israel because they had some strategic patience? Or did they refuse to hit Israel because they just did not have the munitions for it, or they were too fearful of the retaliation? I don't know. But if you ask the Americans, which are being led by the Israelis, and I think the Israeli intelligence is sometimes good, and in many instances, they just like greatly overestimate their capabilities. I think it's the last part. They think, the American government and the Israeli government think that Iran does not have the capability of providing a military deterrence. It's never going to end in a positive manner. America has shown time and time again, And I'm not saying this is a good thing. I don't agree with this. I don't want anyone to die. But America and Israel has shown time and time again, especially in this MENA region, that the only down is when a bunch of fucking corn-fed young boys and girls return home in coffins draped with the American flag, in coffins draped with the Israeli flag. That's it. There is no way that you will ever get America or Israel to back down. I am not saying that that's a good thing, okay? I want to make that very clear. I don't want to see anybody die. But the reality of the matter is, the only way that America stands down and decides the cost that we are incurring is too much is when the penalties are far too severe at the domestic level to deal with. Okay? Because the reality is, most of this system that we have in the Western world is not designed around, doing the right thing, right? It's not. It's not. It's not designed around doing the right thing at all. It's designed around ensuring that the capital-owning class in key sectors continue churning super profits. And therefore, the only other mechanism of pushback is the public pressure, organizing, fighting back, applying as much pressure as possible. If you don't do that and you think, oh, well, this system is inevitably going to course correct, you're wrong. It doesn't. And that process takes 20 fucking years of throwing bodies into the pile over and over again. The global war on terror cost the American government $8 trillion. Hundreds of millions of people at this point have been displaced, removed to their homes. Maybe not 100 million, but tens of millions of people have been displaced. Millions dead through sanctions and also through direct bombing campaigns. Okay? But on top of that, on the American side, on the American front, 14,000 troops died over the course of 20 plus years. 14,000 Americans died, and far more Americans killed themselves every single fucking day. Okay? The number of non-combat veteran deaths is always and has always been and will always be far higher than the number of combat casualties. Okay? 22 veterans a day killed themselves. There are a shit ton of veterans who are homeless. There are a shit ton of people who still have crippling PTSD, crippling and debilitating medical issues as a consequence of their service. This is what we did. We did that for 20 fucking plus years. Trillions of dollars spent. Someone made a fuck ton of money in the process. It just wasn't you. It wasn't your brothers. It wasn't your sisters. It wasn't your cousin. It wasn't your uncle. Someone else did. But the only way it came to a close was when America decided, all right, we've had enough. We've raped the land for as long as we possibly can, just as we did in Vietnam, just as we did in Afghanistan, just as we did in Iraq, in every other country that we've intervened in, with different versions of intervention. And we're still reaping the rewards of our military endeavors. I mean, this past year, how many fucking veterans hit the family annihilator button, did mass shootings, acts of terrorism? There was a fucking Afghan veteran. There was a child soldier that the CIA groomed from the age of like 14 that shot 2 National Guardsmen in the nation's capital in the fucking head. One of them died. One of them just received the Purple Heart at the last State of the Union. That's another byproduct of American adventurism in the region. We're just fucking up our country. We're fucking up every other country, even worse than we're fucking up our own country. And all these fucking capital owners are generating tremendous profits the entire time. And there are still motherfuckers who turn around and tell me, nah, this time is good. This time is good. No, it's not good. It's not good, man. It's never been good. And it's certainly not good for you. So what the fuck are you saying?
Has been killed. What's your reaction?
Great. I mean, this guy is terrible. He's evil. But that doesn't mean that it's legal or constitutional what the president has done. I mean, I'm not against regime change in Iran. I just want to make this
Ya
here the
Allah.
case that we should risk a lot of American lives to achieve that. And of course,
that the Ayatollah has been killed.
My iPad crashed. Thank you. I'm a combat vet, and I hate how you talk about us, but you're so damn right. I got Regentis Snap because I'm a vet. First of all, I think I'm pretty nice about veterans in comparison to, I would say, some of my counterparts. Okay, this is a vet agnostic community. There are plenty of vets in here. Okay, there's a reason for that, because I'm not one of these like troop exploder, I'm gonna fucking spit in your face when you come back from overseas type leftist. And many other leftists yell at me for that reason. Reuters confirms the veracity of the RGC statement. Iran's biggest offensive operation in the history of its armed forces will be launched in moments towards Israel and the U.S. bases, the RGC says. Yeah, that remains to be seen. You wouldn't have this opinion on IDF vets? Yes, I do. I literally do. You're wrong. I do. Why is this such a fucking shock? I've had IDF veterans on this fucking broadcast, man. I've interviewed them. Why are you capping? Every fucking time. Every time this conversation takes place, you're like, pah, bet you wouldn't have this kind of take on IDF veterans. It's like, no, I do actually. I do. God damn. There has never been a revolutionary movement that has succeeded that did not directly recruit from the formal imperial forces or reactionary nationalist forces. You are fucking delusional. None of you know how to hold a gun. Fuck up. Just please. That's it. You can't even talk to your fucking Uber driver when the Uber driver is delivering your chicken tendies to your home, and you're over here being like, yeah, fucking dude, I'd fucking kill a vet with my bare hands, dude. Yeah, fucking pigs. Okay, brother, good job. You got this, all right? I treat people like they're people, okay? That's it. Like, there are going to be fucking assholes. There's plenty of hog vets, and I shit on them all the goddamn time. And then there are leftist vets who are trying to repent for their actions. This is something that I've been incredibly consistent on from the beginning of my career. It's almost like you have a consistent worldview and acknowledge that service members are subject to the same material conditions as the rest of us that push them into military service in the same place. Yes, I know. And everybody gets so fucking mad at me. What? Twitter said Kaya died. Is this real? It's obviously not crazy shit. No, of course not, dude. The fuck? It's Twitter. Why would you believe that? Anyway, where the fuck was I? There was another thing I was going to say. I can't remember any longer because I went on the same fucking rant about the veterans again. Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't think the IRGC is going to carry out a fucking devastating counteroffensive, but who knows? Los Angeles is a huge Iranian immigration population. They're rallying and praising Trump for taking out the Ayatollah in the streets of LA. It's so pronounced, even CNN is covering it. This shit is always trotted out as a justification for war. Who gives a fuck that a refugee diaspora community in the U.S. is happy to see a dictator toppled? Are we doing regime change wars as favors to ethnic constituencies? How does this help the average American worker? I mean, that's a somewhat right-wing approach to this, but it's kind of not wrong. You know, I've said something similar in the past as well. It's like, well, I'm an American citizen. I don't want my fucking tax dollars going to that shit. Okay, how about that? What are you going to say now? You know, I'm kind enough to say we shouldn't deport you, but how about I don't want my tax dollars going there? What's up? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to get engaged over there? That's fucking bullshit.
Iranian populations outside of the Middle East. You see the gathering there behind her. Julia, how is the Iranian community responding?
Well, this gathering has only grown, Jessica, over the past few hours, since we've gotten here. It has amassed a large number of people, and the celebration is striking. We got here just after initial reports, initial rumors of the death of Ayatollah Khamenei had just started to trickle from Iran to this diaspora community, and people were jumping in excitement, hugging each other, crying, saying that basically they've been waiting 47 years for this very day, Jessica. It is the reason so many of them have come out here today. I want you to hear from one of them specifically, his thoughts right after learning that the supreme leader of Iran was dead.
When is the last time you saw people in Israel and Iran dancing on the streets in excitement? And when is the last time you...
Literally every other pro-Israeli rally. What? Dog, you were at the... It's Beverly Hills. Like, what are you talking about? You were at the pro-Israel rally too with the same exact gear. Who are you guys fooling? Like, bro, dude, Americans are so fucking stupid. They go, oh, these guys are Iranian. Obviously, they hate Israel, except now they love Israel. Look how crazy. It's like, no, those guys were always pro-Israel. Those guys have never not been pro-Israel. They're the most pro-Israel motherfuckers in Los Angeles.
ever heard of a country coming out and dancing because they're excited that foreign powers are attacking them?
Also, that's every diasporoid. Again, that's like every diasporoid. As a matter of fact, this past week, a bunch of Cuban American diasporoids literally tried to take matters in their own hands. They got armed. They stole 2 boats. Okay? They had 10 total people. They were going to go 5 and 5 in 2 different boats, armed to the fucking teeth with like weapons, munitions, explosives, all that good stuff. One of the boats broke down. So they packed all of the dudes into one boat, all 10 of them. They got on the boat from Miami and sailed in the direction of Cuba. They got a mile off the coastline of Cuba. The Cuban Coast Guard approached them. And the Cuban Coast Guard was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And they opened fire on the Cuban Coast Guard. And then the Cuban Coast Guard turned around and fucking killed 4 of them. And then arrested 6 of them. Some of them were injured, and they were taken to a Cuban hospital to get the best kind of medical service they've ever experienced in their whole lives, free of fucking charge, because that's just communism, baby. Those are fucking diasporoids. Okay? As a matter of fact, it's part of the reason why America loves bringing in some of the most reactionary force from the country into their country so they can justify whatever kind of destabilization initiative they want to do later down the line. You're there playing your role. Your reason why you're in the United States of America is for this reason. So you go out like the donkey that you are to be like, yes, we are bombing Iran. I hate it. I am Persian. We will have Cuba Day in Tehran one day.
Now, the name of Reza Pahlavi.
Like, he's making it seem like this is a totally unique predicament. Like we've been comatose for the past fucking every waking moment of American history. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You mean to tell me that there is another person doing standpoint epistemology to justify American intervention and American imperialism? What? In their home nation that they fled? Wow. You are so special. I've never seen that before. I've never heard that in my life, bro. Thank you.
Pahlavi has been at the tip of people's tongues here, Jessica. So these are very much people who are pro-Shah. They want to see a leadership emerge from Reza Pahlavi. They're calling for him to take over the reins. And their hope, they've told me...
Yeah, there's one fucking diaspora community that never gets this coverage. You want to know who? The Palestinians, okay? Notice how there's never Palestinians in the United States of America or anywhere else in the Western world that ever gets this kind of coverage when they're talking about Gaza. I wonder why. I wonder fucking why, dude. Why so mad, bro? What do you mean? Why am I so mad? What are you, fucking stupid? Are you not paying attention? Oh.
Is that he would then lead a temporary government and hold elections in Iran, hold a referendum in Iran so that the people could decide what would come next for their nation.
Yeah, and so many Iranian people hoping for a regime change and that they can take back their government. A lot of questions about how that will happen, if it can happen. Julia Vargas-Jones, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks for that.
Iran isn't a fucking monolith. We have hogs. You're seeing them right now. I know no country is a fucking monolith. They seem so happy though. Let them have fun. Yeah, you don't have to live with these guys, so you have no idea what it looks like, okay? They were having this much fun during Israel's reign of terror as well.